Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
No, it's okay. It's done.
This debate happens at a shameful time in South African history. We are here to get answers as to how government stooped so low and actively chose to take the moral low ground and allow a wanted man to escape accountability for crimes against humanity, war crimes, and genocide. Human rights should be the cornerstone of South African foreign
honorable
policy.
members, order. Proceed, honorable member.
Human rights should be the cornerstone of South African foreign policy. Only through a firm commitment to justice and the rule of law and the promotion of international law will we achieve a stable and prosperous African continent. Section 165, subsection 5 of our Constitution clearly stipulates that an order or decision issued by a court binds all persons to whom and organs of states to which it applies. This means the executive was duty-bound by our Constitution to comply with the order that Mr. Al-Bashir should not leave until the court has decided whether South Africa was to arrest him as per the warrants issued by the International Criminal Court. By not complying with this order, the executive is quite simply in contempt of court. The question now is, why did the government frequently ignore our own court and abandon our human rights and rule of law based constitution and foreign policy?
Honorable Mokhalapa, please take your seat. Honorable members, I would like to apologize for not having done this right at the beginning. I should have started by pointing out that Rule 67 calls us that we must responsibly address matters that are before the courts without reference to their merits or demerits. We can discuss everything else around those matters without any reference to the merits or demerits of the case. If we do that, we are in contempt of our own rules and the relationship we have set and the rules that we ourselves have pointed out. So we would like to point that out as a guiding way in the manner in which we deal with these discussions. We do want to point out that even if we may not maybe point out at this to every one of the speakers who are going to speak, we will review the statements made before the House so that we take appropriate remedies to ensure that we do not ever have to violate the rules that we have made for ourselves.
Deputy Speaker, may I address you?
Yes,
on Rule 67?
Yes.
Deputy Speaker, I would submit to you that the Rule 67 does not apply in this matter. The matter has already been before the court. The court has handed down a judgment in this matter. The only thing that is outstanding is an affidavit that the court has instructed a minister to provide. There's no way any discussion on any matter today in this House around the case is going to prejudice the outcome of a judicial matter. Now, we've had rulings in the Constitutional Court, most notably in the MIDI television matter, which puts Rule 67 in serious constitutional problems, which is why in the review of the rules we have excluded it. And I would suggest to you today that if one looks at the rulings taken in the House, and if one refers to the Hansard of 1998 in the first session on page 208, it's very clear there that the intention is never to stifle debate in the House. Now, the Honourable Makhalapa is not touching on the merits of the matter, and even if he were to do so, it would not influence the outcome of a case because the judge has already made a judgment in it. So I would submit to you, Deputy Chair, that you abide by the ruling and the handed down in the Hansard then, which was then confirmed in the House. If one looks at the Hansard of Wednesday, the 18th of March this year, in which the Speaker dealt with the sub judice rule quite extensively in this House, this matter is not before the courts, and I would ask you to not limit speakers having a full and proper discussion. And it's important in a democracy that this House expresses itself on this matter, and I would ask that that not be limited. We have a right to freedom of speech. It's entrenched in the Constitution, and that trumps anything that Rule 67 can provide.
Deputy Speaker.
Yes, honourable member.
The Honourable Chief Whip of the Opposition is not correct. The matter is still before the courts. The Gauteng North High Court gave an order. It hasn't even given its reasons yet. Those reasons are only being delivered tomorrow.
Honourable members, thank you, Honourable Deputy Minister. Honourable members, honourable members, the rules of the House are adjudicated by the presiding officers. I have pointed out to you that this matter needs us to discuss it, but we must be careful because in my opinion and my understanding of where the situation is, that we cannot go into the merits or demerits of that matter. And as Chief Whip, what you have just said is part of the rule. Don't just look at part of the rule, look at the entirety of the rule. And the part you commented on is exactly what I'm saying you must do, including the rest that says don't go into areas that are yet to be decided. On the basis, so I am saying to you, we will come back to you on the ruling on this matter. Honourable Mukhalapa, proceed.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy
You are not
Speaker.
making the rules, we are adjudicating the rules here. And Honourable Member, Honourable Mukhalapa, speak.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. South Africa is a signatory to the Rome Statutes and has domesticated this into our own domestic law through ratification and promulgation of an act called the South Africa's implementation of the Rome Statutes of the International Criminal Court in 2002. The executive has directly violated parliamentary authority by not adhering to our international obligations. It must then be asked, what is the purpose of this parliament in ratifying treaties when the executive decides on a whim to defy them? Mr. Al-Bashir should have been arrested because we are morally, legally, and constitutionally duty-bound to comply with the domestic law and international obligations. The ANC government, led by Jacob Zuma, has committed a crime of assisting a wanted man to run from the law. Let us for a moment think about what allowing Mr. Al-Bashir to evade the law means to the 300,000 people who were murdered and the 2.5 million people who were displaced in Darfur by Mr. Al-Bashir. This saga has dented our moral standing and now tarnished our previous title as champions of human rights. With increasing haste, the executive branch of government seems to show no regard for the rule of law or any of the constitutional principles we have jealously guarded for more than 20 years. How does President Zuma take advice from the likes of Mr. Mugabe and protect Mr. Al-Bashir? The answer is that birds of the same feather flag and flock together, and President Zuma flouts the law of our country with the same impunity as this man seemed to do. There are many questions unanswered about this said chapter, and the DA will not rest until the truth is exposed. Ultimately, it is the people of South Africa and Sudan who are the losers because the executive has demonstrated that it has not any regard for the loss of life and displacements of millions of Africans at the hands of one man. The Minister of International Relations and Cooperation claims that she will not appear before the committee to brief it on Al-Bashir debacle because the matter is sub judice. This simply isn't true and is just more thinly veiled pretext to avoid accountability. This is what we have come to expect from the members of the executive who choose to spuriously apply rules and when it suits them. South Africa has a lot of work to do if we are to redeem our moral standing and international responsibility. The DA's values of freedom, fairness, and opportunity means that we believe that the government should at all times act honestly, transparently, and in the best interest of all South Africans. The people of South Africa have the power to make our country a shining beacon of Africa and the world again. The government under President Zuma has failed in its duty to uphold the Constitution, has failed the people of South Africa, and failed those who were murdered and displaced in Darfur.
Your time
Shame
is
on you.
expired. Honorable member, the time is expired.